What's up, world? It is your boy Philochko here. You know that American dude with the incredible mood, reporting live, kind of live, from Moscow, Russia. I just left Ukraine 2 days ago, and I'm finally going to make the video everyone has been asking me to make forever. I'm going to finally make it. In this video, I am going to compare Russia and Ukraine. But just remember, I've been to many places in Russia. There's two things you need to know about Russia first. I've been to Russia for a long time. I've been to many different places, about, I don't know, maybe 30 cities. I've done work in all these cities. And Russia's so different depending on where you are. You know, you could go as west as Kaliningrad and go as east as Vladivostok. They're very different places, Kaliningrad and Vladivostok. Or you go as north as St. Petersburg and as south as Grozny. They're extremely different, you understand? Russia is so much bigger than Ukraine, so it has more variety than Ukraine. So in a way, I kind of basically want to compare Moscow and St. Petersburg. I'm going to compare these two cities basically to Kiev and Dnipropetrovsk. Those are the two cities I was in Ukraine. And in Russia, I've been to Moscow 1 billion times, but St. Petersburg I've been to about 4 or 5 times, and I basically understand. So when I compare them, I'm basically just using these 4 cities because that's all the information I can really give right now. I have to travel throughout Ukraine some more before I can compare all of Ukraine to all of Russia, okay? So hope you guys understand what I mean. And another thing I want to say is, I don't want people to be offended. There's certain things I'm going to say here that are from my eyes. Maybe when you walk around or when you go places, people don't react to you the way they react to me. And it also depends on the person I'm next to. Maybe I'm with a Russian girl, maybe I'm with a Ukrainian girl. The way they react to us isn't the same way they react to you when you walk by with your Russian or Ukrainian boyfriend or girlfriend. We're different people. So this is from my eyes. So odds are, if I feel a certain way in a certain area, if you're not like me and you don't look like me, you might not feel the same way because you're different and people react to you differently. That's nothing you just have to understand. And that's basically it. All right, let's get to it. Now, I was in Ukraine for 2 weeks basically, you know, and in total I've been in Russia for maybe 2 years. But one thing I was told a lot about Ukraine was that some Ukrainians will tell you, oh, it's so different, it's different, blah, blah. No, it ain't. They're very similar. They're very similar because a lot of times I was in Ukraine, I kept thinking I was in Russia. That's one. But the only thing that kept reminding me I was in Ukraine when I was in Ukraine was there are Ukrainian flags everywhere. Everywhere there's Ukrainian flags. Now, of course, they have a reason right now to have all these Ukrainian flags because Ukraine is in kind of a situation, a hostile situation, you know, in Donetsk and all those areas over there. So of course people are more patriotic right now. That's natural, is what to be expected. But other than the flags, Ukrainian flags everywhere, to me it was pretty similar to Russia. I was in Dnipropetrovsk, everyone was speaking Russian. It was so rare for me to hear Ukrainian when I was there. Everyone just speaking Russian. But when you look around and read things, it's usually in Ukrainian. When you're reading things, it's in Ukrainian, but they like speaking Russian, okay? So that's something I noticed. And in Russia, I don't ever remember hearing anyone speak Ukrainian. I guess it's much, I mean, I'm sure it happens, but I've just never heard it. And another thing I want to compare. Now, in Ukraine, the money is way too big. It's too fat. I don't think I have any on me right now. The money in Ukraine can't even fit in my wallet. It's really the grivna, it's too big, you know? It's too big. I wish they would thin it down a little bit, thin it a little. That'll be nice if you could just thin it because it can't even fit in my wallet. the ruble's fine, the American dollar's fine. The Budapest, the Hungarian forint is fine. All of those fit. All of those fit. Cyprus money, it fits. But Ukraine, that was the first time I had a paper note in my wallet that couldn't fit. People, make it a little thinner. It's too damn big. It looks like a square. It shouldn't be a square. It should be a rectangle. So let's get that checked out. Now, another interesting thing happened when I was in Ukraine. I wanted to go to this restaurant that my friend told me about. She told me that it is a Soviet Union styled restaurant. You know, it's real beautiful. It has the carpets on the walls and it has a whole bunch of stuff from the former Soviet Union that I would probably find interesting. So I said, all right, cool. Let's go. Let's go see it, right? So we get there and none of that stuff is there. None of that stuff, none of the carpets are on the wall, nothing. All the Soviet Union things were taken down and we were like, oh, why are all the Soviet Union things gone? And the guy tells us, he's like, well, basically because people in Ukraine, a lot of people are getting offended by it. They don't want to be reminded of that time anymore. They want to separate from that time and people like it. That's basically what he said. So a lot of places that are maybe former Soviet Union or that were like maybe were Russian themed places, they're starting to close down and or change. You understand? They're starting to change to get rid of that Soviet Union mentality. And a lot of places you can go in Ukraine, like I have to be careful because I'm gonna be real. I gotta tell something funny that happened. I was with a girl and we were looking at t-shirts. I wanted to buy a Ukrainian t-shirt that if I were to happen to wear in Russia, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. So maybe I'd wear a shirt that just says, I visited Ukraine, right? So these shirts are in Ukrainian, so I'm reading one and I see one I liked. And I was like, oh, that one, let's go with that one. That one looks safe. She goes, wow, Phil, do you know what that says? I said, no. She goes, that shirt says, I'm happy, I'm Ukrainian, thank God I'm not Russian. And I was like, oh, Jesus, you know? So luckily she was there because I would have bought it because I didn't know that's what it said. It wasn't written with normal characters, like that script stuff. And it just looked cool. I didn't understand it. So I'm not going to wear any Russian stuff in Ukraine. And I'm not trying to say all Ukrainian people hate Russia because that's not particularly the case. But a lot of people just want to separate from Russia and Ukraine. And how do I pretty much know this? Well, everywhere I went in Ukraine, this was Dnipropetrovsk and in Kiev, you see something written on the walls. And I don't want to repeat it because apparently it's very offensive, but it deals with Putin's name and another word after it. You know, that refers to a part of a guy's body. And that phrase is everywhere in Ukraine. Everywhere I went, I saw it, I saw it, I saw it. That was another reminder that I wasn't in Russia anymore. When I kept seeing that everywhere I went, because it's everywhere. Like, it's everywhere. I'm pretty sure if someone heard a child saying it, they wouldn't care because I've seen it that often, you know? It's like the theme, you know? And not only that, if you go to Ukraine right now, you're going to hear a band all the time called Okeanelzy. Did I say it right? Hold on. Someone bought the CD for me for a gift in Ukraine. Okeanelzy. Soon as I got to Okeanelzy, got in a taxi, I heard them. I got to the apartment, from the car driving by, heard them. People came over, oh, you know this band Okeanelzy? They started playing it. Next day, I went to class, my second class, I got a gift, it was Okeanelzy. Okeanelzy is like the #1 band in Ukraine right now, by far. Just the #1 band there. I don't think there's anyone else who's allowed to play music in Ukraine besides Okeanelzy. Like, that's what every Ukrainian listens to. Apparently because they're very patriotic. A lot of people like them because, you know, this is a time in which they feel they need to listen to the music because their music is known to have a meaning. You know, a meaning that can relate to the current situation in Ukraine. So they listen to that music all the time. People sing and stuff all the time. Okeanelzy, no matter what I did, they wanted me to involve Okeanelzy, you know? Take a walk, listen to Okeanelzy. Take a shower, sing Okeanelzy. Take a shit, listen to Okeanelzy. It's like everything Okeanelzy, all right? Even when I was having dinner in a Ukrainian restaurant on TV, both times I went to 2 different places, they had Okeanelzy on the television. So they're like everywhere. These guys gotta be rich as hell. I'm trying to join Okeanelzy because they got money. Forget the politics. I'm trying to get money. But other than that, yeah, they're everywhere. Their songs are okay. I think their songs are in Ukrainian because when I look at the titles and stuff, yeah, the songs are in Ukrainian. So I'm trying to learn a little Ukrainian. I'm trying to understand it. There's some differences and some similarities. So sometimes, you know, I've had my friends when they came to visit me, I'm like, hey, speak Ukrainian. And they would say things back and forth to each other. And sometimes I try to say what they said, and sometimes I was right, but most of the times I was wrong. So it is a similar language, but I just don't really have a grasp on Ukrainian or understanding Ukrainian yet. But when I get more information on it, I will speak more on that topic about the languages. Now here in Russia, I believe Okeanelzy has been banned because of the political situation. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. But from what I heard, they were banned in Russia, and I don't think there's too many Okeanelzy fans here in Russia anyway. And I'm pretty sure I will not see that Putin bad word after it here in Russia. So that's another reminder I'm in Russia. But there's one thing I noticed the instant I came back to Moscow. Now this one is more specifically for Moscow rather than St. Petersburg, and I'll tell you why. People in Moscow love to stare. Moscow people love to stare. They stare. I've never been stared like that hard anywhere in Ukraine, neither in Cyprus or in Budapest. I do a lot of traveling. But every time I come to Moscow, the first thing I realize when I'm in the metro station is that people stare. Every time. I mean, they stare like I'm killing somebody. Now, when I'm by myself, I don't get stared at that hard. But when I'm with a girl, yes, I get stared at hard. This is specifically Moscow. I've been in like 30 cities in Russia, and I'm still going to more. But the staring is mostly in Moscow. But I think I understand why more than ever now, because there is something else I realized when I got to Moscow, which was a little different than in Kiev. Most of the people I see in Moscow aren't Russian. Or not most, just a lot of them just aren't Russian. And which is interesting, because when you're in Ukraine, you see vast majority of people who are Ukrainian, blah, blah, blah. But here in Moscow, I see, like in the area I'm in now and where I teach, I see like more people who aren't Russian than Russians. And it's very crowded here in Moscow, extremely crowded. And a lot of people here have to work many, many hours all the time. They rarely get breaks, and things are so expensive here. So generally in Moscow, people are way more serious. They love to stare. And I think a lot of Russians are just uncomfortable with the immigration situation here in Moscow. That's what it really looks like. Because like when we're on a crowded train, the train's so crowded you can't even move your shoulders, and I'm looking around at people's faces, people are staring at me. I just think they're thinking, you're a part of the reason it's so crowded here. You're a part of the reason I can't move left and right. And I'm like, well, you're right. But you want to know something? When I go back to New York and I go to Brighton Beach, you're the reason I can't move left and right. So we're both on the same boat, okay? So I guess that's basically it. So as comparison, what do I like better? I can't say one is better than the other. I would pick to live in Ukraine during the daytime, but Moscow at night, because at night, Moscow is the place to be. I love Moscow at night. I have a lot of friends here, a lot of favorite spots like my bar. There's also Coyote the Ugly. You have Kamchatka. A lot of these spots I really like here in Moscow. Moscow really comes alive at night. It's beautiful. I love it. It's a great party place to be out at nighttime. But during the day, I'm not the biggest fan. But I have to go work. I go work and I come home, make my videos, whatever. And as of Ukraine, at night, it was okay at night. It was okay, it's all right. I'm not trying to say it's bad, but then again, I haven't spent that much time in Ukraine yet. And people have been asking me, if you know me well, my goal, the place I wanted to visit, like before I started making YouTube videos, my goal was to visit Ukraine. Because my first girlfriend was Ukrainian. She was very beautiful. She taught me a lot about Ukraine. She's from West Ukraine. She taught me a lot about Ukrainian people. Then some people moved into my house because in New York, I used to rent out rooms to people. A lot of them were Ukrainian girls. They told me about Ukraine. I always thought they were so beautiful. So I've generally always thought Ukrainian women were the most beautiful in the world. People think I said, or I say now, that I feel Ukrainian women are the most beautiful people in the world. They think there's some political reason behind it. There's no political reason behind it. There's a logical reason behind it. When I see the most beautiful women, majority of the time they're Ukrainian. Now, of course, Russian women are very beautiful too. Try not to lose my fans. I'm kidding. No, you guys know me. If you watch my videos, I'm not a guy who lies. Yes, Russian women are very beautiful too, but just the thing is, some reason in Ukraine, like some of the girls, or a lot of them actually, just have the most exuberant eyes. Just so bright. Like a lot of the girls came to my class, I talked to them, their eyes were just so bright. It's just like, is that legal? It's just insane. So like where you are in Ukraine is kind of like in the middle of everything when it comes to the East. I guess you call it the East. When it comes to Europe, it's kind of in the middle of everything. When you go south, people start getting darker. You go north, people start getting lighter. You go west, people start getting, more Europeanish. Go to the right, you got Russia. So all that kind of comes together, and mixes up, and you make Ukrainian women. It's kind of like the mix of that whole area, because they're like right in the middle. So diversity, a lot of people believe diversity is what makes people so beautiful. It helps make people more beautiful. So like a lot of people love black and white children, or black and white people in general, think they're sexy. Like Halle Berry, Chris Brown, a lot of people like that who have a black parent, white parent, or maybe an Asian parent and a white parent, or a black parent and an Asian parent. They come together. Those children are usually extremely attractive and usually even more healthy than if they weren't mixed. This is what science says, what a lot of people believe. And so Ukraine is kind of like a big mixture of Jewish and all this stuff together. And so maybe that's why I feel they're the prettiest women in the world, which I've always felt for the past 4 years. There's no political reason behind it. And I guess that's really it. I wish I could give you guys more about my opinion on Russia versus Ukraine, but in conclusion, it's just like Russia for one. It's similar to Russia. It looks just like it, but because of the political situation, you will see certain things written on the walls, and you see Ukrainian flags everywhere in Ukraine, which will remind you that you're not in Russia. It will remind you real fast that you're not in Russia. And one more thing, I guess, because I was speaking about interracialness, let me get into that. I would say both places, Russia and Ukraine, still, they're just not too used to interracial relationships. Still not. Because in Ukraine, like, I was always told that, oh, you know, Ukraine is way more understanding. Well, maybe it was when I wasn't there, but now it doesn't look very understanding. Because the first day I was there in Ukraine, like, I saw, Боже мой. I saw the Ukrainian nationalists. Like, the first day I was there, you know, they had the red and black flags, and they're the people who hate people who aren't Ukrainian, especially Russians. So they hate Russians very, very much, but hate everybody else a little bit too. They want Ukraine to only be for Ukrainians. It's the first day I was there, they're having a little march or a little speech or whatever. And as you walk around, you see some regular people who aren't part of the group selling those flags in support of those people. Now, this could be because of the situation, which is a little understandable, which I can understand a little, because they feel as if they're being invaded, and so this is what usually happens. You know, when people feel they're in danger, they become more patriotic, and some people become a little too patriotic, and they take it to a level which it shouldn't even go. You understand? And that kind of patriotism could actually end up bad for Ukraine, especially if they want worldwide support. They won't get much worldwide support if they look like a bunch of hateful neo-Nazis. So they probably want to cut that out if they want any sort of international support, because that looks really bad. I didn't even know that was going on here until I came here, okay? And so both sides, Russia and Ukraine, is still not really used to the whole interracial dating thing. Because whenever I'm with a white female or two or something, it's just both countries is just like a lot of looks and like people just, you know, behaving in a weird way. Now, not everybody, but a lot, all right? And that's basically it. Let me know what you think. I probably missed some stuff, but I should be back in Ukraine. I might go back to Ukraine, but I was hearing from Ukrainians that the oil or the gas might be cut off for a certain part of the winter. And if that's true, I'm not going, because no, I'd still go. I just got to buy a bunch of electric stuff because they're running out of money or some political situation. A lot of that stuff might be cut off for them. And if it is, I might still go anyway, just so I can blog and see how it is. But if it won't happen, I'll definitely go. If it does, I might go. So I got a lot of deciding to do. And that's basically it, people. Let me know what you think. Ukraine was beautiful. Russia's beautiful, so I'm here. You're just different. It's just unfortunate that it looks to me that Russia and Ukraine's relationship is just getting further apart than coming closer. Like, it looks like it's ending. It looks like Ukraine is really trying to forget its past with Russia, and so all the Lenin statues are down. You know, when I was there in Ukraine, they took down the Lenin statue in Kharkov and stuff. So, you know, I remember that's what I used to do. This is my last thing. That's what I used to always do when I came to, when I'm in Russia. Every city I go to, I want to see the Lenin statue, because Lenin's everywhere. I want to see the Lenin statue and the black people. Black people as in of African blood, not black people as in Caucasian. They're not black. I don't care how many times you say it. I'm talking about people like me, right? Those are two things I usually want to see, but in Ukraine, I can't see them anymore, because I believe, if not all of them, most of them are down. So I just think it's really good if, like, this situation can just die down, and, you know, like the two presidents meet, or prime ministers, whatever, meet, and things could kind of go back to normal. That would be nice, because, you know, Ukraine and Russia, you're very similar. I'm just going to be honest. You're very similar. You know, you're brothers. If not brothers, you're twins. You're just alike. So hopefully things can progress in a positive way for Russians and Ukrainians. So, I don't know. That's basically it. I just want things to get better. And so I'm out. This is Philochko here, your American dude with that incredible mood. I'm gone. Later. No, don't be racist at the end of this video.